Hello, my name is Tony and I have decided to start a YouTube channel. The reason is because, quite recently I got some news that was just that you would never ever expect to hear, and over the last couple of weeks it's been a bit of a roller coaster, and I've been meaning to do something like this for a while, and today I woke up and I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to get round to it. So excuse my unclean hair and all that kind of stuff, but I wanted to do it now. Anyway, I wanted to start it because I thought that if there's ever anyone in the future that's anything like me that has had to deal with what I've had to deal with, then being able to watch something as simple as my video to see how I'm dealing with things and to see how my family are dealing with things and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully it will be able to help them and know that, it's actually something that's really, really common, something that happens regularly and that kind of thing. So the story begins like this, and it's quite a long story, so I'll try and do it as quickly and as entertaining as possible, but just bear with me because I think the backstory is quite important. In the end of October, the start of November, I was really, really ill, and I had something that was similar in symptom to glandular fever, and my glands were swollen, and I was really feverish, and I was just feverish, sorry, and I was just in bed, and it was really, really horrible. And that was about a week long, and then my parents made me go to the doctors, because I was really bad. And I went to the doctor, and she said everything was nice. Her name's Dr. Budwani, and she's been incredible. And she said everything's normal, just come back in a couple of weeks' time to see if your glands are still there. So anyway, illness had gone. 2 weeks later, glands were still there. And again, she was like, nothing to worry about. You're young. This kind of stuff happens all the time. You've just got an infection. But we'll send you for a blood test and an x-ray just to keep everything, as a precaution. So I went for my blood test and my x-ray, and the blood test results were really, really fast like that. And they showed nothing but a slightly raised white blood cell marker. Again, indication of fighting an infection in my body. So that was fine. And then I was Christmas shopping on New Year's Eve, Christmas shopping. I was Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve with my little sister in town, and I had a call off my doctor, and she said, I've seen your x-ray, and it shows a shadow on your left lung. And obviously I was just like, what the fuck what does that even mean? I started getting a bit stressed out, and she said, there's nothing to worry about at all. X-rays are really, really basic. We'll send you for a CT scan just to see what it is. So the CT scan was on the 5th of January, so everything went so quickly, everything's gone so fast. The NHS, people, you hear bad things about it all the time in the newspapers and on online media, Sky News, things like that, Daily Mail readers especially, ugh. But everything has happened so quickly for me. Had my CT scan and then went home, and then I got a letter of appointment with a different doctor called Dr. Oh God, what's her name? Or Dr. Pancham at the City Hospital Haematology unit, and I was just like, I don't even know what haematology even meant. So then, YouTube. To be honest, by this point, I was just convinced that I had something like HIV, and I was like, oh my God, my life is over. I was so stressed about everything, and I hadn't had any concrete news. I knew that there was something wrong because I thought there's no way that they're going to refer me for this test and that test and all of that kind of stuff if there was no reason for it. So anyway, I had my blood test done, and I had, my obs taken, my height and my weight and blood pressure and all that kind of stuff. Everything was normal except for the raised white blood cells. And I went into the room, and I was with my mom and my friend Amina, and I just wanted, by this point, I thought, my mom is Indian, and I'm her only boy, and she would have been, she's just emotional, as any, as any parent would be in that kind of situation. But I wanted to go in alone to see the doctor, who turned out to be absolutely, like, so, like, genuinely nice. Honestly, like, if you ever do see this, Dr. Puncham, thank you so much for everything. So she showed me the CT scan results, and it was of my neck down, and it was incredible. Like, it kind of, it's like a 3D image of your body from inside, and it showed like some black marks. I was just looking at, I don't know anything, I'm not medical minded, I don't go to med school, I don't really know anything about anything to do with that kind of stuff. I'm automotive design. And it showed like black dots in certain places, and she said, oh, right, okay. She was like, from what I can see, you have Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it's stage 2B. From what you've said about your symptoms and, your night sweats and your chronic cough and that kind of stuff. So I was like, right, okay, what the fuck is going on? I didn't cry, and I didn't really feel it. I was just, like, concentrate mode. This is kind of important information that's coming through now. So anyway, she explained that it's nodular scleroma, some kind of, thing. But basically it's cancer. And, that word was like, that was the the stigma attached to it. I was like, this is just fucking ridiculous. So I left after she told me about, basically about my treatment and what can happen and all this kind of stuff, and went out and told my mum, and I was smiling. I was like, oh yeah. She was like, oh, what? She was eager to know what happened. So I was like, oh, I'll tell you, like, let's go downstairs and get a cup of tea and we'll sit down, because tea makes everything slightly better, everything slightly more bearable. So then Mina caught my eye and she was like, is it bad? And I was like, so then I later found out that she thought that it was something to do, like, sexually transmitted disease, because I didn't tell my mum straight away and that kind of thing. But, thank God it wasn't, because, that would have been embarrassing for us, Anyway, so I went downstairs and I explained to my mum what had happened, and obviously the first thing that she did, she was shattered, like, her whole, like, it was literally, tears streaming down her face, red eyes, and I just kind of sat there like, Mum, there's no, like, obviously, you can't even say, Mum, stop crying. I can say it to anyone else, but when it's your own mom, if I think what I'm going through is bad, I just think what she's going through is even worse, because she's my mom. She gave birth to me. I'm blessed to have a good relationship with her as well. So I was just gutted, and Mina went and got us a cup of tea each, and everything calmed down. I was like, Mom, it's not a death sentence. It's early stage and all that kind of stuff, and the treatment. I live in the UK, and we have a national health service. Everything's free. Everything is top-notch quality. The doctors are world leaders. The nurses are compassionate. The food is free and tasty. I'm so lucky. I'm honestly blessed. So anyway, went home after my mum had calmed down. She could drive again, and told my dad, and he had an appointment in the evening to go and see someone, and he was like, I can't do it anymore, I don't want to go. Again, fair enough. But my way of dealing with it was Mina was doing dry January, and Mina have been friends for a really long time, and I'm like grateful for her friendship, because she was my first port of call. So anyway, we went into town, Birmingham, and went and saw another close friend of mine, Sandy, who was at work at the time. And I told her, while she was working, and she works in a bar where, you have to be kind of nice and flirty and, keeping the regulars happy and all that kind of stuff. And she took it however she took it, she didn't get all emotional. I mean, she didn't really have a choice to. She couldn't, because she was working. And then long story short, me and Mina got absolutely obliterated. We were drinking quadruple vodkas and quadruple gin and lemonades. And we ended up getting the train to Coventry to see my housemates, and I explained it to those, and drinking champagne and prosecco and all that kind of stuff. Got the train home really, really late. So that was my little blowout done. You know, every time I do that, it's kind of, that'll be the last time, but it never is. um, the next day, I went for some drinks with a friend of mine, Rosie, who lives just around the corner, and you know, she's super level-headed, and I thought she's the perfect person to know, because she had an inkling that I was worried from when I had the X-ray cloud, because I saw her on Christmas Eve at the pub after I'd had the phone call off my GP. And I told her while she was driving, because again, like, I'm kind of just scared. Initially anyway, I was just scared of the reactions from people. Because I didn't want people to, you know, get all sad and start crying and stuff. So I told them in a circumstance where they didn't really have a choice and they couldn't, which was a little bit selfish of me, I suppose, because I think I've had time to deal with it, so why can't other people have time to? But then I've kind of learned my mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so then three close friends and, you know, my housemates and stuff, they all knew. And the first thing that had happened when everything kicked off, I moved straight home, because my mum wanted to look after me and she wanted to make sure that I was eating properly and I was in a clean house with all that kind of stuff, rather than just my shitty little uni house, you know, really dirty. So that was the initial couple of days. Dr. Pansham, though, like, she was amazing in getting everything done as quickly as possible, because time is of the essence when it comes to any kind of illness like this. And my appointment with her was on a Thursday, and then she referred me for a biopsy of my neck on my left hand side. I've got a little, you can't really see it in the light on it. Oh, there you go, just there. And that could have taken up to 4 weeks for a referral, but I had her on the Thursday, and then a week on the Monday I had my biopsy, so, you know, I had to go to sleep and everything, and that's another story. But basically, she just had everything done through as quickly as possible. I don't know what she did, what she had to say, what figures she massaged, but, you know, she did everything so quickly initially, so that was good. But that was my first couple of days of finding out that I had cancer, and, you know, telling my friends and my dad and my mum. I told my sister my older sister a couple of days afterwards, I think. I don't really remember, it's a bit cloudy. I should have really kept a diary. I meant to. I even bought one, but I returned it because the diary cost £30. And I thought, if I'm leaving my job, then I shouldn't really be spending this kind of stupid money on diaries. So, you know, everything, I tell the story so many times. I've told that story so many times to so many different people that I don't really need a diary, because it's just there in my head. And now that I'm making this, then it's just going to be there forever. So that was my first couple of days were emotional. Were a bit of a roller coaster, but it wasn't difficult, and I wasn't scared at any point. I was just relieved that it wasn't HIV or hepatitis, and, you know, that kind of stuff. I didn't do any research online. I steered clear of all of the patient forums that you can find online. Like, they're so depressing. Like, you can convince yourself that just from a headache that you're going to die tomorrow. It's just, I'd say one piece of advice that I can give to people that are, you know, any illness, not even just one like mine, just steer clear of patient forums. They can be really, really useful, but a lot of the time, for me anyway, they just weren't. Try and stick to, you know, relevant stuff. So, like, for me, that was Macmillan, Teenage Cancer Trust, and Cancer Research UK. Another thing that I tried to do is I steer clear of figures. People always say, but you're going to be okay, right? You're going to be fine. And I'm like, well, yeah, probably, but, you know, there is a chance that I might not be. But they don't like to hear that. That's more for me. I try and steer clear from figures, because it's never nice to put a number on anything like this. Because at the end of the day, it is a life-threatening illness. And I think the sooner I came to terms with that, the better. But, you know, the prognosis and, you know, the chance of chemo not working and stuff, I'm just, fuck that. If it's going to work, it's going to work. If it's not, it's not. I'm going to do everything that I can. I'm going to listen to my doctors when I can and do what they say to help me. You know, I'm not going to let figures dictate my life, you know. So that was the first couple of days. And I think that's a nice little wrap up to the first bit of my video, I think, you know. First couple of days is a good episode. Up and down. It's quite exciting really to tell people the news. It was difficult to tell people the news because I feel like because my friends care, I'm so lucky to have such amazing friends and family and stuff that, you know, me telling them that, it's kind of ruining their day. I'm making them sad. So a little part of me. Oh, and another thing, I didn't tell loads of people because I thought I just want to have the people that I need close to me. No, because then they can support me as well. Like, I can lean on my friends, but I didn't want to make it public because I've got loads of people that are just there that kind of just exist as friends, but, you know, really my news to them would just be, oh, I've got a friend who has cancer, you know, sympathise with me, that kind of stuff. And just thought, you know what, fuck that. Until I can deal with it, until I know exactly what I have, you know, after the biopsy and after my PET scan and all that kind of stuff, which will follow. I didn't want the masses to know. So yeah. Oh God, it's nerve-wracking. This is so embarrassing for me as well. Like, I didn't think that I would ever actually do this, and I know that my voice probably sounds absolutely ridiculous, and my accent probably sounds really, really strong, and my curtains are really, really bad, and my jumper's really tight. But hey, it's done now, so I can't really be bothered to do it again. What's this, like nearly 20 minutes long? Thank you for watching. If you know anyone that you think might be able to gain something from watching this video, send it to them, send them the link. And I hope that my subsequent videos can help them too, because otherwise it would have been a bit pointless really. But again, thank you for watching, and, you know, stay tuned for the next one, I suppose. Cheers.